Hello and welcome back to the AA guide on how to buy an EV in Ireland. Now this is just one part of a whole series about buying an EV in Ireland, so please do check out the other videos if you are thinking about it. But today's video is about what happens when you buy your EV. What do you need to think about in advance of buying an EV in terms of maintenance, safety? How long is the battery going to last? Is it going to just go bust after 3 years and you need to throw it in landfill? These are the kind of things that we want to talk about today. So let's get stuck into the details.
Take a moment, enjoy the calm. You could be stuck on the N7 with two teething toddlers, but we don't do stress at the AA. We do roadside rescue, and our trained mechanics fix 8 out of 10 problems at the roadside. Buy online now at theAA.ie. Relax. Yellow and black have got your back.
The warranty or the guarantee on a car is hugely important, and you should really look into the details, and that's whether you're buying petrol, diesel, hybrid or fully electric. So the same thing does go for EVs, for fully electric cars. You want to look into the warranty and the guarantees and see what you're getting. So something like this here, the Polestar 2, that's got a 3-year warranty on it, or 96,000 kilometers to cover all the parts, all the kind of standard stuff within the car. But it also has a guarantee on the battery, and that's for 8 years or 160,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. And any car that you buy, each one is going to be different. The slightly longer term or the amount of kilometers you can drive will be a little bit different. So have a good look into the car that you're thinking about buying and compare it against what's on your shortlist, just to see if you're happy with the warranty. As with pretty much any product with moving parts that you might buy, servicing is an important part of its lifespan, and the same goes for EVs. You want to keep that up. You want to make sure that the car is in a safe and usable condition, but also you want to make sure that you look after your battery, because you'll probably have to follow the manufacturer's guidelines over time and make sure that you get a service, every once in a while, every X amount of kilometers, but each manufacturer will be different, of course. Now, when it comes to EVs, the really good news is that very little goes wrong with them. They don't have all those moving parts of a traditional petrol or diesel combustion engine. So in general, the servicing that you get off your garage should be a good bit cheaper because they have a lot less to do. They're going to want to plug the car into a laptop to check on the diagnostics. How is the battery performing and all the electronics inside it? But after that, there's no timing belts, fan belts, oil changes, spark plugs. All those kind of things are largely gone. Of course, you're going to have pollen filters and things like that. But with EVs, even you use regenerative braking. So some EV drivers will find that brake pads and brake discs will last the lifetime of the vehicle because they're just using regenerative braking. Because they're used so little, you want to make sure that they're not rusting or something like that. They'll check on the suspension and various other things like that. Tires can be an issue, but what we're finding is that it actually comes down to the driving habits of the person who's driving that car. So because something like this has 400 horsepower and you've got all that power there on tap straight away, that people tend to get through their tires a little bit faster. But really that just comes down to driving style. And if you look after your tires, you'll get an absolutely fine amount of time out of them. So if you've bought an EV, you're following the servicing guidelines and you're driving responsibly, there's really nothing else to worry about after that. They're quite safe vehicles. But one thing that you do want to consider is charging it. Now, if you're putting a charger in at home or apartment block downstairs in the basement or something like that, then you want to do it responsibly and do it with proper electrical equipment. So we find that some people are using a granny cable just to plug in from a 3-pin socket on the outside of their house, through a window maybe, and in here. And we kind of want to avoid that, or at least avoid that in a long-term sense. So get a proper charger put in, and also have a think about where you put it on the driveway, because these cables, they are a little bit of a trip hazard. You don't want people falling over them when they come out or they come home at night time, or maybe you're trailing the cable across your driveway, someone comes in, drives over it and pulls the whole thing out and breaks the unit. So just something to think about if you are buying or have bought an EV. We couldn't make a video like this without addressing batteries' health and how long will they last, because it's a major concern that people have if they're thinking about buying an EV. But let's go back to basics for a second and just talk about why these things are so much more robust than people actually think. So I have here a spare battery for the camera that I'm recording this on. Now, when I plug it in tonight, after I've been using it today, I'll charge it all the way up to 100% and probably even leave it plugged in for a few hours after that. And I might even use it today until it actually dies, where it goes all the way down to 0%. And doing that actually damages the battery over time. Another example that we all know is a mobile phone. We all have one of these. 2, 3, 4 years, maybe you might keep them. After that, you say, wow, I'm only getting a half a day out of the battery now, and they're pretty much useless at that stage. But that's not the case for cars like this. Main reason is that they got a battery management system, a BMS. So this battery here is 78 kilowatt hours, but you only get access to 75 of that. That's because they keep a little buffer at the bottom and a little buffer at the top. So you can never truly charge these cars up to 100%. It just indicates 100. And what that does is it protects the battery and really extend its lifetime out. So this one here has an 8-year, 160,000 kilometre guarantee. But the chances of you actually needing the warranty within that space of time are very, very small. Now, there's a couple of caveats in there as well. And one is just to think about if you were buying a used EV, an older one, maybe a 7 or 8 year old Nissan Leaf or Renault Zoe or something like that. And you need to be a little bit more careful with those. But the good news is that there's software. So these little dongles that you can plug into the car and you get a reading on the health of the battery. And that will tell you down to about a 1 or 2% plus minus difference how healthy that battery is and how much degradation it has suffered. But we're seeing, as is the case over the last decade with all types of Teslas, Renaults, Nissans, and even other cars that are coming on now, be it Kia, Hyundai, Volkswagen, the batteries are lasting so much longer than people had ever anticipated. And with modern cars like this, with modern battery management system and modern battery chemistries, they will probably outlast the lifetime of the car. And you may well find that in 20, 30, 40 years time, the battery that was in this car, because the rest of the car around it is useless at that stage, has then been shifted into home energy storage or something like that, and the batteries will still be alive in decades. So hopefully you got something out of today's videos with us talking about servicing, maintenance, what can go wrong with EVs, what are the things that you need to be concerned about. And as we can see, they're a lot more robust than people give them credit for. The batteries will last for decades more than likely. They're quite robust and hardy things that will actually save you a lot of money over the course of their lifetime in terms of servicing, maintenance and fuel costs. But we're going to have all this kind of information up on our website, so do go to theAA.ie if you want more, and we'll catch you on one of the other videos, because this is just one of a whole series on the AA guide of how to buy an EV in Ireland.